The truth of the matter is that we are here to defend the democratic process in Nigeria. You cannot decimate the Supreme Court of the land and suppose that the country will be the same. When you call on the Supreme Court to revert its decisions, you are setting the motion for anarchy. The Supreme Court is the apex court. The Supreme Court decision is final. What we want the politicians to do is to understand that the Supreme Court represents the soul of the democracy. The judgment of IMO State was sound and straightforward. 7 justices of the Supreme Court sat and took a decision. No single dissenting judgment. And you are telling them that they don't know what they did. Any form of appeal against the Supreme Court judgment is desecration of justice. Our law does not support it. The law of Nigeria permits what we call the slip rule, where you can correct clerical errors, not for the Supreme Court to undermine its integrity. If you tell the Supreme Court through blackmail to revert its judgment, it means that you are setting another Supreme Court above the present Supreme Court. Can you appeal the judgment of the Supreme Court? The answer is no.
What fears do you have? Because the Supreme Court is yet to sit on that demand to review itself, which is tomorrow.
Absolutely, we don't have any fears. What we are doing is to let the justices of the Supreme Court know that Nigerians are solidly behind them. No amount of blackmail can stop the courts from doing their job. It is irresponsible for any politician to call out the Supreme Court justices for any reason.
So what is your mission to the Ministry of Justice?
We are going to the Ministry of Justice to submit a letter to urge the Honorable Minister to use his good offices to rein in those who want to destroy our democracy. Any attempt by politicians to undermine the authority of the Supreme Court will spell doom for this country.
What will you do tomorrow if, peradventure, the Supreme Court reverses that judgment?
It is not possible for the Supreme Court to revert its judgment. We are telling you what the law of this land permits. If you do it, it means that we have gone into a banana republic. That means everybody will raise a motion and tell you revert yourself.
But the Supreme Court itself is not complaining about reviewing its own judgment.
There is difference between review and reversal. Our law supports review, which is supported by slip rule. The slip rule says that the Supreme Court can review its judgment in case of clerical errors or some mistakes, not to revert its judgment. Once the judgment of the Supreme Court is pronounced, the only thing you can do as a reasonable person is to kneel down and pray to your God. And that is where we are. We are here today to present a formal letter to the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, demanding that he uses his good office to rein in politicians who are determined to ruin the collective destiny of Nigerians. The Supreme Court of Nigeria is the final court of the land. It is not heard of that politicians will by themselves create another Supreme Court outside of the Constitution of Nigeria. When you demand through blackmail that the justices of the Supreme Court will revert a decision of the court, you are indirectly telling them that you want to create another Supreme Court. There is no further appeal after the judgment of a Supreme Court. As it is, there must be an end to litigation. And we demand that the Minister of Justice use his good offices to ensure that the judiciary is defended. We cannot malign the honorable justices of the Supreme Court and expect the ordinary citizens to have confidence in the judiciary. We are solidly behind the justices of the Supreme Court. We salute them for the erudite judgment they delivered in the case of IMO State Guba election. The judiciary is the final hope for the common man, and our Supreme Court is the final authority. We urge every concerned citizen, if you have issues with the judgment of the Supreme Court, the best you should do is to pray to your God. As it is said, after the Supreme Court, the next is God. We expect that by tomorrow, the Supreme Court will ask those who are blackmailing them to go home and pray to their God. The case of Imo State is decided and dusted. And as you can see, the masses of Imo State are happy. If you listened to the news, you would have seen that the State Assembly, in a unanimous motion, supported the decision of the Supreme Court in the case of Imo State. And we are here to ask the Honorable Justice to do his work. This letter has been copied to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Chief Justice of Nigeria. We thank you very much, and we thank you again.